2022. It was an interesting year for movies. I honestly can't even tell if the good outweighs the bad or the bad outweighs the good. But today I'm gonna attempt to find out by ranking all 100 and something, I don't even know, new releases that I watched from the worst to the best. Also, please know that I watched a lot of new releases, but I couldn't watch every single thing that came out, so here's a list of some that I think that I missed out on. Also, I'm only going to be talking about the top 10 because there's absolutely no way I'm going to be talking about over 100 movies in one video. So I'll just show you a list like I did last year. "13 Lives." Who knew an Amazon original movie would make it into my top 10 of the year? I sure didn't. I didn't even know about this release until a month before it came out, and it exceeded my expectations. When I heard about how these soccer kids got trapped in a cave back in 2018, it was a fascinating story. Even though I was in like 4th grade or something, I was following this, and as soon as it ended, I knew it would make for a very exciting movie. I did watch a documentary about it that came out last year, but I honestly think that this movie was an improvement over that, as documentaries are kind of hit or miss for me. Colin Farrell gave an outstanding performance. This year was just his year. He was in The Banshees of Inisherin, this, and a movie we'll talk about soon. As someone who's pretty claustrophobic, this was a very intense watch, and just knowing that in real life it was pitch black in these caves, that's just so terrifying to me. They did an incredible job of showcasing how hard it was for these people to go save these kids, and it was just an amazing experience watching this movie. It had outstanding sound design in these caves with the water, and amazing cinematography and lighting. Definitely a film I recommend, and one of 2022's most underwatched movies in my opinion. More people need to see this. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. What an improvement over the Disney live-action remake we got earlier in 2022. Thankfully, this adaptation of Pinocchio is easily my favorite telling of this story that I've ever seen put to screen. And this is one of the most mature animated films I have ever seen. Some of the themes presented here are very mature, and I don't even know if this should be PG considering how mature it can be. The songs are pretty great. I really love Ewan McGregor's voice as the cricket, and the young actor that voiced Pinocchio did a great job. Like I said, this is easily my favorite telling of the story Pinocchio, even better than the classic Disney animated version we got. Easily the best animated film of 2022 for me. Wendell and Wild and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish were really good, but this is my favorite of the animated films we got in 2022. I am a huge fan of the first Knives Out movie, and Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery definitely lived up to the hype. Rian Johnson is just an amazing storyteller in these mystery movies, and his directing is on point. The cast here is great. I really love seeing Daniel Craig, Edward Norton, Janelle Monáe, Dave Bautista, and all these other actors and actresses interact with each other. It just makes for such a fun viewing experience. And even though the reveal for me wasn't really as satisfying as I hoped it would be, this is still such a great whodunit movie, just not quite as good as the first one. I'm super excited for Rian Johnson's third entry into this Knives Out franchise, and I hope it's just as good as these two. Jordan Peele's Nope was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and it did not disappoint. I think it's my least favorite of his filmography so far, but that doesn't change the fact that it is a great movie. Jordan Peele really is a great director, and it's really funny seeing him come from a really comedic show like Key and Peele to directing these amazing, thought-provoking horror films like Get Out, Us, and Nope. My favorite is easily Get Out, second favorite is Us, and then third place is Nope, but it is still a great movie. It's pretty terrifying with the monkey stuff, and the alien stuff is pretty scary too. I love Daniel Kaluuya in this. He always gives great performances in the films he's in, and I can't wait to see whatever Jordan Peele's next project will be. I'm really interested in seeing if he dives into other genres other than horror or thriller, because I think he's a really talented director with comedic elements too. All in all, Nope was a great film, but not even my favorite horror film from 2022. That film is The Menu. Honestly, I wasn't even really that excited for this film, but once I watched it, it instantly went into my top 10 favorites of the year. Such a masterfully crafted horror film to me. Ralph Fiennes gives a great performance, as well as Anya Taylor-Joy. I really loved the direction this went. I honestly didn't know much about it, and it blew me away. After seeing some reviews, I can definitely see the comparisons from Glass Onion and this, but I actually think this is the better movie of the two, even though they're both great. One of the best things about this is that it just makes you hungry. The cheeseburger, it looked delicious and I wanted to eat it. Anya Taylor-Joy was lucky. The Fabelmans. As someone who wants to go into the film industry, and as someone that makes their own short films, this was a fascinating watch. I didn't realize how relatable this film was going to be until watching it. Knowing that this is Spielberg's childhood, it's so cool to look into the main character and try to picture Steven Spielberg, and you can definitely see it. I'm really glad Steven Spielberg is starting to make great movies again after some okay movies like Ready Player One, The Post, Bridge of Spies, and some pretty bad ones like The BFG. But now I'm really glad towards the end of his career he's making great films again like this and last year's West Side Story. I think I prefer West Side Story to this, but they are both amazing films. And Steven Spielberg is really one of the greatest directors of all time. Him and Alfred Hitchcock are my two favorites and very inspiring directors to me, people that I really look up to. The Fabelmans was a really great coming-of-age story, and even though it's probably not going to be Spielberg's last movie, if it is, it's a great one to go out on. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Say what you want about this film. Some people love it, some people hate it. And I'm on the side that love it because I just think it's such a funny movie. I love seeing the cameos. And it did what Space Jam 2 and Ready Player One did, but correctly. I didn't mind Space Jam 2, but it was kind of just a guilty pleasure for me, while I actually considered this to be an amazing film. Seeing Ugly Sonic on screen was easily the funniest moment of the year for me. And there are a bunch more moments like that in this film that just make it such an enjoyable watch. I get that it might not be better than films like The Northman, Top Gun Maverick, The Banshees of Inisherin, but I absolutely loved it for what it is, and I hope Disney Plus makes more great films like this, even though after this they also made Disenchanted, Pinocchio, and that new random Night at the Museum movie. Elvis. I wasn't looking forward to this movie at all. I thought the trailers were awful. It didn't make any sense to me why they were playing Doja Cat music in a biopic for Elvis. But after watching it, it honestly blew me away. It's one of the most chaotic movies I've ever seen. The editing is insane and Baz Luhrmann's directing is incredible. Austin Butler gives an immaculate performance as Elvis, and Tom Hanks does an okay job. I don't really think 2022 is the best year for Tom Hanks. He was the Colonel in Elvis, and he was Geppetto in Disney's Pinocchio. Hopefully this year he's better in Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. It still doesn't really make sense to me why they're playing Doja Cat music and Britney Spears mashups in this, but honestly, I don't really care because it's such a great movie, one of the best endings of the year, and I think it's an incredible biopic for Elvis. Rest in peace, Lisa Marie Presley.
Something's in my...
The Batman, my second favorite Batman movie, right after the Lego Batman movie. Even though I think the Lego Batman movie is just slightly better, this is just an amazing movie. Colin Farrell, Robert Pattinson, Paul Dano, they all give great performances. And even though this is long, it's one of the most enjoyable movies of the year for me. The cinematography and lighting are on point, giving some of the best action sequences I have ever seen. The car chase with Batman and Penguin was so awesome, and I love the horror aspects with the Riddler. Even though Andy Serkis wasn't in it very much, I think he did a great job as Alfred, and his character offered some pretty emotional moments. One of the best superhero movies of the decade, and easily the best superhero movie of the year. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. This is the better version of Multiverse of Madness. This was easily my favorite movie of the year. It's really close to getting a 10 out of 10, but I think I need to rewatch it first. I didn't even know Ke Huy Quan was in this until watching it, so that was a great surprise because I loved him in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and The Goonies, and I'm really glad he's returning to acting with this and Loki Season 2. Michelle Yeoh did a really great job, and the Daniels directed this amazingly. Seeing all of these different universes was incredible, and this is the better version of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, like I said. Even though this movie can be really silly with the hot dog fingers and everything like that, I think that it is still really emotionally impactful with the relationship between the daughter and the mother, and some other plot lines that I won't spoil. Jamie Lee Curtis did a great job, and I'm really glad Ke Huy Quan got a Golden Globe for this film. I'm really hoping he wins the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Easily the best A24 movie I've seen, but the new Ari Aster movie, Beau is Afraid with Joaquin Phoenix, looks incredible, so that does have a chance of topping it. If you haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, go watch it right now because it deserves every single bit of your time. An incredible movie from start to finish, easily my favorite movie of the year, and I can't wait to see Ke Huy Quan in more projects. Thank you all so much for watching. I watched way too many movies in 2022. I know for a fact I won't watch as much this year, and I always look forward to making this end of the year video. But with that said, stay tuned and subscribe to Cinema Ranks.